Hi, folks. Thank you so much for joining us on our presentation today covering how to hire a professional property manager. This is Scott Pastel. I'm the Vice President of Property Management for Marshall Reddick Real Estate. I'm joined today by Emily Sanders, who is our property manager in our San Antonio, Texas office. San Antonio is one of a variety of different locations that Marshall Reddick covers for sales and property management. And San Antonio is actually our largest portfolio unit count. Emily will be talking on this presentation along with myself. I am actually sitting in our Orange County, California office. So we have, like I said, we have about 6 offices in 4 different states. I'll be able to show you guys where we're located and even what our teams look like. But for about the next hour, Emily and I are going to talk through a variety of different topics on property management. And the theme really is what a professional property manager does. What makes a professional property manager different than a layman property manager? And what is a professional property manager? So these are all different topics we're going to be covering on our presentation. I just want to start out for those of you that are new to Marshall Reddick Real Estate, or maybe this is your first time attending one of our presentations. Marshall Reddick Real Estate, as you can see under our logo at the very top, has 3 different departments: real estate, helping buyers and sellers of both primary residence and investment sales; property management, managing investment properties within anywhere from 1 to 4 unit, even up to apartment buildings. Marshall Reddick manages a variety of single family and multifamily properties. And then we also have a private lending department. We work with borrowers and lenders to originate first trust deeds and mortgages for both buy and hold and fix and flip financing, as well as new construction in about 15 different states across the country. So we're here this evening to talk to you guys about our property management department, which spans across 6 different locations in the United States. Just a quick background on myself. I started at Marshall Reddick Real Estate in 2005. I like to say at the time I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed intern going to college, didn't know anything about real estate. 2005, I went and looked for an internship. I grew up in Orange County, California, which is where the Marshall Reddick headquarters is located, in Newport Beach, California. And I had the opportunity to intern here about 16 years ago. About 2 years after my start, I bought my first investment property. I bought another investment property another year later, and several more since then. Got my real estate license in 2010. What I like to call my day job at Marshall Reddick is, again, the VP of Real Estate and Property Management. So I work with our property managers in each location, and I've been fortunate enough to bring on Emily Sanders with us, who, like I said, is our property manager in our San Antonio office. So Emily and I are going to be covering a bunch of different topics on property management, how Marshall Reddick's approach to each area of property management, and then really just what a good property manager does. So our overall philosophy within property management, this is one of the cornerstones of our beliefs of property management, is that a property manager, in order for a really truly thriving, functioning property management landlord relationship, it can only work in longevity if the property manager is only making money when the landlord makes money and doesn't make money when the landlord loses money. What do I mean by that? Some property managers charge fees during vacancy. At Marshall Reddick, we don't feel that that's a fair approach to property management, and we don't have any management fees during vacancy. Another way that some property managers make money when the landlord loses money is from maintenance and repairs. We're going to be touching a lot on that topic with you guys today, talking about how a good property manager doesn't make money from maintenance and repairs, which we consider to be a very big conflict of interest in property management. So we're going to help you guys, first of all, shed some light to that topic, make you aware of companies that do profit from maintenance and repairs, and explain why it would be best to avoid those companies. Building trust is key in property management. Your investment properties and our investment properties are some of the largest, most valuable investments that we own. I like to call our rental properties babies, if you will. We're sort of the babysitter of your babies. Your babies might be 1,000, 2,000 miles away from you, and you're entrusting a company like us to take care of those babies while you're gone. So, trust is everything. And we know that it can take some time to earn that trust, but trust can be lost very quickly. So for us, it's always a matter of continuing to earn our clients' trust, not being complacent with the relationship, but always continuing to show our landlords, that we truly care about their investment. Lastly, we are investment-minded managers. There are some property management companies that only do property management. They don't sell investment properties. They don't coordinate 1031 exchanges. They don't help landlords set up their insurance and financing. At Marsh Riddick Real Estate, because we're so focused on investment real estate, we really do, treat your investment just like our own. And we look at the income and expenses, and it's our goal to always, help our clients achieve the highest rate of return on their properties as possible. Okay. Some types of properties we manage, as I mentioned, we have a pretty large variety of properties. As a company, right now today, Marsh Riddick manages just under 2,000 units across 5 different states. Those states, which you'll see many times throughout the presentation, are California, Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Florida. So within each of those markets, we manage anywhere from about 300 to about 700 properties in each territory. And there are a variety of single-family properties, multifamily properties, and apartments as well. When clients or potential landlords ask us, what is our approach? What do we do in property management? What do we not do? We explain that we're a full-service property manager. And the idea and the goal, which we're quite successful at, is that our landlords never have to step in or be involved on anything on their property other than communicating with us. We're very, very hands-on with our properties. Just to give you an idea, those 2,000 or so properties that I mentioned, they're owned by our clients who span across about 20 different countries in the world. So we have Marsh Riddick landlords that don't just live in the US, but also live in countries like India, China, Costa Rica, Canada, Mexico, Turkey, Israel, many different countries. So obviously there's a lot of time zones there. How do we communicate with our landlords that might be a 10-hour difference or more? So we heavily utilize our software. We heavily utilize our owner portal to communicate with our landlords and our tenant portal to communicate with our renters. So we have a list of a bunch of different services, products that we offer included in our property management for landlords, some benefits and conveniences for tenants, and then also how we take care of our properties. Emily will be showing you guys what we like to call our property management life cycle. It kind of looks like a monopoly board of steps that we go through on each property, from the moment we onboard a brand new property all the way to offboarding a tenant, placing a new tenant, and continuing the ongoing management. Down below, we're very, very proud of our staff. I like to tell people that we pay our staff well, and I'm very, very proud of that. We have many college-educated staff members. We have a multilingual staff. We utilize the most modern technology. Our property management software, as you can see on there, is Appfolio, which we'll touch on a couple times throughout the presentation. We're very big on reports, metrics, inspections, data. We evaluate our properties based on our vacancy rate, and we look at properties based on maintenance as well too. I'm very, very proud to mention that of the 2,000 properties we manage, right now we're averaging about 10 vacancies, which is less than 1%. So just to reiterate that, we have a less than 1% vacancy rate across our entire portfolio. And then we'll be getting into the maintenance and repairs side of property management a lot more, and we'll be explaining why we only use third-party licensed contractors that are not on our payroll. They don't work for our company, and we're going to explain why that is a huge benefit for the landlord. So why would you hire a property manager? Why would it even make sense? Now, the common answer is, well, because I'm not located near my property. That is a very false statement, and that is an incorrect mindset. We have landlords that live in the same building that we manage. We have landlords that live less than a mile from a property that we manage. But getting back to a large amount of properties we manage where the owner lives in one of the units, if the owner lives several feet away from tenants, why would they hire a property manager? That's really a question that I would like everybody to really think deeply on, because there is a long, long, long list of answers. You can see, some of those answers on the screen here. Emily is going to go through an example in a little bit of how to calculate your per diem or your daily vacancy cost on your investment property. That's a number you should be very well aware of. It's very important that you understand how much money you're losing every single day that your property's vacant. It really helps put things in perspective. Our overall goal, is to reduce the amount of vacancy and maintenance and liability for our landlords. If we can reduce their vacancy, reduce their maintenance, and reduce their liability, then we know that our fee is well earned. Now, that's not something that every property manager will do. Property managers are just like every other industry. There's amazing property managers, there's decent property managers, and then there's really bad property managers. I can say that for every single profession. The other thing that carries well in property management, and that holds true, is that you get what you pay for. If you use the cheapest property manager, you will get the cheapest service. That doesn't mean that the most expensive property manager is necessarily the best, but if you have experience owning investment properties, you will realize, and if you talk to other landlords that use property managers, you will realize that what really counts is the value. What are you getting in return of your fees? Not just how do I find the cheapest fees and not really focus so much on the service, but how do I get the best service for the right price or for the lowest price? So, that's really, I think, what the goal for property management is. Our goal, like I said, is to reduce your vacancy. If we can rent a property, with a week or two faster, or, choose a better quality renter, we know that, it's worth the cost. So we reduce liability. We reduce liability because our renters will never know who the landlord is. They won't know where you live. They don't know what you do for work. They will virtually know nothing about you because we keep your identity completely private. That means that we're really carrying the brunt of the liability, and you have a buffer of liability because you're not in the picture. And Marshall Reddick is the one that's declining applications that don't pass our approval. Marshall Reddick is the one that's posting notices on doors if renters haven't paid their rent on time. Marshall Reddick is the one enforcing the lease and being the bad guy so you don't have to. I think that that's worth everything. I talk to landlords on a daily basis that are looking to hire a property manager. They reach out to Marshall Reddick, and sometimes they reach out to competitors as well to interview us. It is very often that I talk to a landlord who is self-managing a property that has worked themselves into a very unfortunate situation. They've befriended the renter, and they can no longer be the bad guy. And now the tenant is the boss, and the landlord works for the tenant. And I have seen that so many hundreds of times, I can't even count. So a property manager has many, many, many benefits. And one of those benefits is that you don't have to worry about the issues on the property. We step in and we're the bad guy if we need to be. And we also enforce the lease, and we're very proactive. What this does for you, it allows you to have less stress, less headache, less time away from the things that you truly enjoy doing. We hope to help each one of you grow a whole portfolio of real estate. not just one or two properties, but a whole portfolio over the course of several years, so that you really truly have not just, one home, but you have an entire, portfolio of properties that are diversified, that are paying you quite a bit of income, and that hopefully you can retire on one day. The goal for investing in real estate is not to keep you busy or make you busier. So that's where we come in, to allow you to scale your investment portfolio, to allow you to spend more time doing the things that make you money or make you happy, and let us do the busy work. So here's a map of locations that Marsh Riddick covers. The ones that have a circle around them, we call these our in-house markets. These are cities that Marsh Riddick has a brick and mortar office where we do sales, management, and leasing in-house. The other cities that don't have a circle around them, these are our third-party markets. That means that we work with a local realtor and property management company in each of those areas, not Marshall Reddick, but ones that we have a strong referral relationship with, and that we have worked with many clients that have bought and managed properties in those locations. Coming back to the states that do have a circle around them, in California, Florida, Tennessee, and Texas, these are going to be very consistent in service and quality. The same company is managing property in all of these markets. We are a one-stop shop for real estate investors. We have a lot of clients that own property in 2 or 3 or even more cities on this list. And they're able to log into one website. They have one point of contact. They have one 1099 statement. They receive all of their rents on the same day each month. Very consistent because it's the same company. We know that we're pretty unique and pretty rare. You don't normally see a residential property manager cross state boundaries. When you do, it's almost always a franchise. And we know that franchises have a very large discrepancy in quality between one to the other. Marsh Riddick Real Estate's a private company. We have the exact same Starbucks, In-N-Out, quality, consistency across all the markets that we're located in. All right, this is definitely one of my favorite slides in the whole presentation, and I was pretty eager to get to this. These are the people that make the magic come true. These are the hardworking individuals at Marshall Reddick in each one of our offices. Those of you, and I recognize some names, so thank you guys for joining. So those of you that already own properties that we're managing probably recognize a lot of these faces. So on the top left and going clockwise, that is a portion of our Southern California team. And you've got a variety of real estate advisors, realtors, property management staff, and also private lending staff. Emily is actually in the red. You'll see a picture of her headshot in a moment. She's standing out in red. I guess Emily didn't get the memo that day. So Emily flew out from San Antonio when this picture was taken, along with Markeisha, who's actually on the bottom right, also on the same page there. So Markeisha is our property management accountant in San Antonio. She's on the bottom right of that picture in California, and then Emily is wearing the red. And Emily and Markeisha flew out that week to visit us in California. The rest of the staff works out of our California office. Going clockwise, that's a good amount. Looks like maybe about 2/3 or half to 2/3 of our Cape Coral, Florida office. Got a variety of our property management staff, tenant coordinators, owner coordinator, and some realtors and leasing agents. Going clockwise down to Texas, that picture, sorry, finger slip. That picture was taken not too long ago. I think that was about 2 months ago. If you guys know Ross Nelson, our CEO, he's right in the middle in that like white button-up shirt with the blue blazer. And then we've got our whole team of leasing agents. We have tenant coordinators, owner coordinator, maintenance supervisors, maintenance coordinators, leasing agents. I don't know if I mentioned that already. That is our current San Antonio office. I'm very excited to say that we're in the process of moving into a much, much larger office, which we hope to be in within the next few months. And then finally, that's our Clarksville, Tennessee, and Oak Grove, Kentucky office, also expanding. And we're also moving into a bigger office in Clarksville in about the next 30 to 60 days as well. So both Texas and Tennessee, we're actually expanding into new offices. That's me, second from the left. And then on my right is Brittany. On my left is Malika. Going right, we have Christina and Sherry and Evan. These are our property management, maintenance managers, leasing agents. So this is just some of the Marshford staff. There's quite a bit of people left out of these pictures, but certainly a good amount of people that you guys have maybe talked to already, and individuals that hopefully you guys will have a chance to talk to soon. These people take their work seriously. They take a lot of pride in their work, and they have some incredible relationships with our clients. And that brings me to Emily. So Emily, as I mentioned, she's our property manager in our largest portfolio office of San Antonio. She leads a pretty large team of about 20 or almost 25 now staff members in San Antonio and Austin. And it's just an amazing, amazing resource on our team. So Emily's going to talk through a lot of the steps in property management. And Emily, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much, Scott. Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. So as Scott mentioned, I'm in the Texas office. I've been with Marshall Reddick since 2018. And since then, I've personally assisted over 250 investors with our PM services. I've also helped grow our Texas portfolio over 400% in those last 3 years. So there's a lot to discuss tonight. We have a lot to cover, but feel free to put any questions in the chat box, and I'm happy to reach out to you after the webinar. All right. So what should a professional property manager do for you? In short, a professional property manager will do everything A to Z for you so that you can be hands-off and collect a rent check. Let's touch on a few of the services a professional PM will provide. So all these points below will be discussed in pretty thorough detail during this presentation, but again, any questions, just feel free to write them in. So a professional PM will take care of estimating any make-ready or maintenance costs. We will also take care of completing all of your make-ready and your maintenance work. We take care of running thorough rental market analysis. We have leasing agents that act as they will handle all of advertising and showing the property. They also aid in procuring and screening applicants. I want to throw an emphasis on the screening applicant part. We're going to touch base on this a lot in the next coming slides. We do complete a 5-point background screening check, which is extremely thorough and helps a lot in making sure that we get the highest quality applicants in your home. So a good PM is also going to help you get tenants to sign leases in a timely fashion, so within 48 hours or less, so that we can secure the rental. We're also going to help you in collecting all of the rent and following up on tenants when they are past due. So that means obviously having a lot of communication with tenants. We're going to follow up when anybody's past due daily. We also work to deliver notices and then also proceeding with any evictions if that is necessary. We're also going to perform any ongoing property maintenance. That means checking in with tenants regularly to make sure there's no deferred maintenance, making sure we're scheduling preventative maintenance, and then also taking and dissecting maintenance requests as they come in to make sure that we are taking care of items that are necessary and not just taking care of every maintenance request received. You're also going to receive monthly and year-end statements, which break down all expenses and income. So you'll get a statement each month and then again at the end of the year. We also work with our maintenance managers to conduct periodic inspections of your home. So this means when a renewal comes up and you would like us to go look at the property and see if there's any deferred maintenance or just touch base with the tenant and see if there's anything going on, we're happy to do that. So these are all items a quality PM should handle for you without any extra hidden fees or headaches. So right here on the screen, this is our property management life cycle. This is just a brief overview of what you can expect when you onboard with us. So I'm going to lightly touch on each of these, but again, we're going to go through more detail in the coming slides. So the first and foremost, when you are interested in property management and you have your initial conversation with Scott and I, we're going to ask a lot of questions about the property. We call that the initial property evaluation. It's really important as a management company for us to understand what's going on with the home. So if is there any roof issues? Is there foundation? Have there been a lot of maintenance requests? We want to get a really good feel for your property. The next step would be a rental analysis. So we would actually have one of our licensed real estate agents run a rental analysis so that we can gauge what the market value of the property is. This is important to make sure that we're all on the same page with what you want to list the property for. After we cross those 2 points, we would work with you on the management agreement. So we would send you the management agreement and review any of the points on it that you have questions on. After all of that's handled, we'll go ahead and get you onboarded. As Scott mentioned, we work with a software called Appfolio, which allows you to have a full owner portal with insights to your property's performance. So that's we would get you onboarded in there and then get everything set up. Once you're onboarded, our maintenance manager, if it's a vacant property or if it's tenant occupied and we need to walk and do an inspection, the maintenance manager will handle any of the repairs or the inspection at that time. If the property is vacant, it moves on to step 6, which would be our leasing agent going out and taking photos and actually advertising the property through the local MLS, which syndicates to 120 plus marketing sites. The next step would be for the leasing agent to handle any and all showings. So that means scheduling the showings, answering the phone when tenants call, pre-screening. Once an applicant decides that they would like to go forward with the home, they proceed with an application. The application, which I'm going to show you what that looks like on our website later on. The application is extremely thorough. We want to know everything about the applicant so that we place the highest quality applicant in your home. That goes right to step 9, which is the screening and background checks, which we conduct, again, a 5-point check system that we use. Once a tenant is approved and a deposit is received, we send the lease to the tenants. Once the tenant signs the lease, we schedule their move-in evaluation. This is an evaluation that the maintenance manager does a couple days or right before a tenant moves in so that we can photograph the home in its most current condition so that we can use that when the tenant moves out to bill back for any repairs, but also make sure that we know the home is in excellent condition. During the tenant's lease, we'll handle any ongoing maintenance. So we actually have maintenance coordinators that their whole job is to receive maintenance requests as they're received and vet them. They want to make sure that the maintenance request is actually something that needs to be get done and not just something cosmetic. So we're going to handle all maintenance requests. We also offer a mid-lease property evaluation. So this is when the property is up for renewal and an owner requests for the property to be walked. Maybe before you renew the tenant, you want to say, hey, let me see how the tenant's taking care of the property, or let's check and see if the AC needs to be serviced. We're happy to go out and complete this evaluation for you. The next step would be, of course, if the tenant doesn't renew and they move out and turn in keys, we're going to handle the full move out process, which includes us visiting the property and documenting every single thing in the condition. So we're going to provide you a full photographed report that's available in your portal. And then we're also going to account for the tenant's security deposit and itemize them back for any damages. All of this information is provided to both you and the tenant for full transparency. So again, just a brief overview of our PM life cycle, but we're going to get a little bit more informative. All right, so the rent ready process. During the rent ready process, our team's biggest goal is to get the property turned and ready for listing as soon as possible and at the best price for our clients. So ensuring that repairs or renovations are completed correctly, efficiently, and at a standard that is competitive with other homes in the area. Doing all of this really allows for us to market the home in the highest quality and get the highest quality tenants. So during this process, we're going to keep you up to date fully. The maintenance managers are going to treat the property for any hazards, get the property deep cleaned, and also get any preventative maintenance ordered and completed. So I really want to point out, if you're a first-time investor or a seasoned investor, you really know that maintenance costs can be a huge pain point with investment properties. So this is why it's super important for a professional property management company to be hired. Professional property management companies understand the market cost for repairs. We have relationships with multiple vendors of each trade. We understand what truly needs to be done to get the home turned timely and efficiently. Another part of the rent ready process is the management team working closely with the realtor that's going to be listing the property. This is super important because the realtor has intimate knowledge of the current market trends and the other competition in the area. So they can let maintenance know from a more marketing standpoint, any feedback, any repairs or upgrades that maybe could be done to help get the property at the highest rent rate and appeal to our target audience. So right here on this next slide, this is a sample of the checklist that our maintenance managers actually utilize when they are doing their walkthroughs. So as you can see just from this snapshot alone, it's pretty thorough and detailed. We want to cover all of our bases. Number one, we want to make sure your property is being well taken care of. But number two, we want to make sure that we're moving a tenant in to a really nice, clean, repaired home. So each of these items on this list is photographed and uploaded to the owner portal for review. So there's actually a tab on the owner portal called Inspections, and you'll be able to go in there and click on it, and you open up each photo to its full size so you can see everything crystal clear. Again, full transparency is what we're built on, and any professional management company should be built on. So if something needs to be repaired, replaced, or upgraded, you're going to be able to fully visually confirm that. We're not just going to tell you that items need to be taken care of. Okay, so this slide right here is going to be an example of our make-ready invoices. So we really wanted to show this so that you understand what any make-ready invoices or turn invoices that are counted back to tenants look like. It's super important that invoices are clearly itemized line by line for a couple of reasons. The first and foremost, we want to make sure that you're not being overcharged for simple items like changing a light bulb. We know what the market cost for those items are, so we want to be able to see what the vendor is charging. This also ensures that tenants can understand what they're being charged for, so that there's no question. It's fully transparent. Again, transparency is key to any professional company. And that leads me right here to fully transparent maintenance. So in summary, a good property manager will work with multiple vendors for each trade. That keeps vendors honest and fair in their pricing and their work. A professional property manager will have intimate knowledge of repairs with the full intention to solve the problem at the root and not band-aid fix an issue. A reliable property manager will not have in-house maintenance and will not charge additional fees for handling maintenance. So this is a huge thing to point out. Maintenance is a part of anything in life. So whether it's your investment, your car, your health, maintenance is routine. It will happen, and it should be handled from a place of transparency and good intentions. When a property manager has in-house maintenance or charges fees for maintenance, they are directly benefiting from even the most minor of repairs, which can quickly lead to approving each repair request just to make a quick buck. So I want to emphasize something. Management companies that offer lower management fees are recouping this cost elsewhere. So I'm going to repeat that. Management companies that offer lower management fees are recouping this cost elsewhere. And you can guarantee it will be from maintenance upcharges or maintenance fees, whether that's maintenance coordination fees or administrative fees. So it's always important to fully understand your home's condition and how a property manager will handle any maintenance requests, emergencies, preventative maintenance, and make-ready turns, which is something that, again, we fully pride ourselves on. That's why we provide everything to you crystal clear and itemized out. All right, so moving on from maintenance to leasing. So this is the fun part. This is the part everybody likes to talk about, actually renting out your property and making some money. So in short, the biggest goal of leasing a rental property is to get you the highest rent in the lowest vacancy time. So how does a good property manager achieve this? So on the slide, you can see that number one, it has to be priced appropriately. Number two, the property manager should have a dedicated agent assigned to that rental listing. Number three, any applicant or prospect should be thoroughly screened, both pre-screened and screened at the time of application. And then number four, you have to know the condition of the property. So knowing the condition of the property, we've touched base on a little bit, but it's extremely important so that the property management team can understand the full condition so that all issues can be attended to and the home can be marketed in its best condition. Again, all inspections are heavily documented, photographed, and available for owners. All right, so in the next couple of slides, we're going to address pricing, leasing agents, and screening in more detail. So how much will your property rent for? The most important thing to consider when discussing rental pricing is to be extremely realistic based on the current market conditions. Rents are not priced out based on emotion. The absolute only way to find the realistic price is by looking at recently rented homes that are comparable in size, style, age, and amenities. I'm going to place a lot of emphasis on the rented comparable rather than the active comparables that you see on sites like Zillow or Realtor. Overpriced homes are listed every hour, Anybody can go in and post a rental listing on those sites. Overpriced homes that are, they can cloud the true value of an area at a glance and provide those unrealistic zestimates or rent ranges that you see on those popular sites. So it's extremely important to note that your home will not rent for more than it's worth. And a professional property manager and realtor team will always provide you with this upfront transparency. The only way to ensure that you're competitive is to see what neighboring homes recently rented for, which is found only by running a rental market analysis utilizing a local MLS. In a couple slides, I'm going to show you an example of a rental market analysis and what that looks like from an agent's perspective. But before I transition, I want to touch base on this example of how overpricing a rental can end up costing you more than if you had priced the unit correctly to begin with. So an overpriced unit will undoubtedly sit for 30 or more days. So let's just say it sits for 30 days. So with this example, the overpriced was $3,000. So $3,000 divided by the days that it sat vacant leaves you with $100 of lost revenue each day. Times that by the month and you just lost $3,000 that month. Let's take it a step further. You can equate that to a $250 month loss with a standard 12-month lease. So again, a professional property manager and a realtor will always provide this insight and transparency up front to ensure you understand the importance of accurate pricing and the cost of vacancy when pricing your units. Okay, so as previously mentioned, the only way to ensure that you are competitive is to see what neighboring homes rented for. So how's that determined? Well, the agent responsible for marketing your home will run a rental market analysis in the local MLS. So on this slide, you'll see an example of what an agent sees and the criteria they can manipulate to find the most comparable homes. So here's what's super important when looking for a market analysis. You need to pull active, yes, active comps, pending comps, and units that closed. Right now, this says 180 days, but right now, we're really able to pull comps in like 60 to 90 day range just because of inventory. You want to make sure that you're looking at the exact property type of the home that you're running the market for. You want to look at the county and the city and even take it one step further, the neighborhood. You want to only look at units that are comparable in beds and baths. And then you want to pull comps, if you can, that match the amenities of the subject. So is it a furnished unit? Does it have a swimming pool? Does it have a garage? Does it have a parking spot? We want to try to pull and make it as comparable as possible. Once these comps are selected and studied, the agent can really drill into what the home should be listed for. That's a discussion that they will always have directly with the owner as well. Anytime that it comes to listing your home or renewing or anything that is monetary value will be discussed with the owner up front. These reports will also be provided to the owner when discussing the rental pricing. This report is the only way to truly understand how a market is trending and what your home will rent for. So who does all of this market analysis and who gives you all of this information? So a professional property management company will have licensed real estate agents assigned to specific homes. So you won't be working with 2, 3, or 4 different agents or whoever picks up the phone that day. You should have one direct point of contact for your leasing, for your property while it's being leased. So a good thing to talk through. So the leasing agent roles and responsibilities. So the leasing agent is responsible for preparing the property for listing. They're responsible for taking photography. They're responsible for advertising and marketing the home. So whether that's through the local MLS it syndicates out or it's posting directly to many of the marketing sites available today. They're going to communicate with prospects. This one's huge. A lot of companies lose out on a lot of prospects because nobody answers the phone. Our agents answer the phone. They respond to emails. They respond to text messages. To take that one step further, they're not just picking up the phone and getting a tenant's information and scheduling a time to meet. They're pre-screening applicants. A good management company will provide their agents with the tools and resources to know exactly what questions to ask, make sure that they are qualified. Once they pass through that, they're going to conduct all the private showings. The best feature, I think, in my opinion, is the weekly activity reports. A good property management company will have their agent provide their client with weekly activity reports. So like Scott mentioned, we have a lot of clients out of state. We've got a lot of clients international. And even if you live next door to your home, you want to know what's going on. So each week you can expect, and it's guaranteed, that your agent will send you an activity update letting you know the number of inquiries, the number of showings, how many applications have come through. Do we have an approved application? If yes, they're going to give you a summary of that applicant. The leasing agent's also going to make sure that the application, when it's received, is 100% completed. So they're going to go in and make sure we've got all the documentation and that is their tenant. They worked with them. They know everything about them, and they alert property management. They're also going to work in tandem with property management to make sure that the lease gets signed within those 48 hours. So while property management will send that lease out, your agent should also be following up to ensure that their prospect has signed the lease. The biggest thing that a leasing agent should do for you, the owner, is make sure that that lease is signed and the home is secured as soon as possible. All right, so our application guidelines. Our application guidelines are available on our website. They're available on every listing. They're available when a tenant applies, and we also have it as part of our owner packet when we onboard. This is because a professional property management company will have strict application requirements in place and actually adhere to them. Many times, unprofessional property management companies will post their requirements, but then kind of loosen them up in order to fill vacancies quickly. This can turn out to be a problem if an unqualified tenant is placed in a unit when they should not have been. If an unqualified tenant is placed into a home, there's a lot of things that can come out of that. There can be late rent, possible evictions. This will easily cost more than a couple more days of vacancy would have to secure a higher quality tenant. The reason why we present these application guidelines in so many different ways and methods and have our agents discuss these with tenants is because we want these applicants to know that we're going to hold them to these standards from the very beginning. It ensures that the tenant understands that they're working with a professional company that will hold them accountable for all aspects of their lease. So these are some of our guidelines. So a minimum of a 36-month positive rental history. Approved applicants have to carry renter's insurance. Applicants with felony convictions, we look at the nature of the crime. We want to know what happened. Credit scores, 600 FICO credit score, not a Credit Karma, not a third-party site. This is a FICO credit score. So these are just some of our application guidelines, but I'm going to really kind of drill into our tenant screening process right now. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a 5-point screening check. This ensures that we put in the highest quality tenants that are going to take care of your home, that are going to pay their rent on time, that are going to communicate and not be a nuisance to their neighbors. So again, we ensure that our realtor is completing a thorough pre-screen of prospects and providing them with our criteria. So once they pass through the pre-screening and once they read through our criteria and they apply, this is the next step of it. So on our end, when a tenant applies, we're going to conduct a background and a criminal search. We want to make sure there's no violent felonies, no recent bankruptcies. We're going to run a credit check. We want a 600 FICO minimum. We want to see what kind of loans or lines of credit they have out. Are they overdue on any? Have they defaulted many times in the last 90, 120 days? What is their credit health like? We're going to do an income verification. So we want to see actual pay stubs. We want to see signed offer letters. We want to see 1099s, W-2s, anything that shows what the tenant's income actually is. If we get a screenshot of something, we're not going to accept that. If we get something typed up on a Word document, we're not going to accept that. We need to make sure that we are placing stable tenants in every home. The next part of that is an employment verification. So whether or not we get those, whatever kind of pay stubs or proof of income we receive, we're going to call the employer. We want to make sure, is this person still hired? Are they on good standing? Are they there all the time? Is this legit? We want to make sure that, especially right now during today's times, we want to make sure that we have stable income coming in. The fifth part is going to be the rental history verification. So now when you do a background and a credit check, if there's been an eviction on a tenant's account, or if the landlord has reported any debt through a collection agency, that will show on their background check. Now, if they just skipped out last week and they come and apply here, obviously that's not going to show. So we take that verification a step further and we're calling on previous landlords. We also do a little bit of investigating here sometimes. So sometimes a tenant won't always place a landlord's information. So we can actually pull that through their credit because their address is there. So we want to make sure, again, it's as important to you guys as it is to us that we place high quality tenants. So these are the 5 areas that we really hone in on to ensure we're getting that high quality tenant. Not completing a thorough screening of an applicant can wreak havoc down the line. So as I mentioned, poor quality tenants tend to pay their rent later. They have poor communication. They can neglect the property. Sometimes it can lead to an eviction, or there's just general, lease violations and nuisance that has to be handled. So as Scott mentioned previously, we manage close to 2,000 properties, and I actually took this screenshot just a couple hours before this webinar. So I know Scott mentioned 10, but we're really at 7. So this is really cool to me. I think it speaks to a couple things. Number one, it speaks to the current supply versus demand. So these 7 rental listings that are posted on our website aren't our only vacancies. Those just have signed leases already. So this shows to how effectively we're able to fill leases in such a short amount of time right now. So that goes right back to hiring the proper team who have proper and effective processes in place. So with all of that said, how has the current market affected leasing and PM? So supply and demand is the obvious answer. Nationwide shortage of rentals due to the current market, both competitively within rentals and the home purchasing market, has led to far more people looking for rentals right now. This also leads directly back to lower days on market. So rentals, as I mentioned, these are receiving 2 to 3 applications within the first 48 hours, and even that's being generous. So we're receiving lots of applications, lots of calls every day, and this is reducing vacancy times tremendously. The final part of that is that more tenants are renewing their leases at the end of their lease term instead of moving out. So due to the current supply and demand of rentals and the difficulty securing a home to purchase, many tenants are opting to renew their lease to secure their home until the current housing trend slows down a bit. So we're actually being able to renew more tenants at higher rates than we normally would renew them at, and because of supply and demand. So it's really been pretty interesting over the last couple months. So I know we've covered a lot of ground here tonight with how a professional management company will take the guesswork out of managing your home, from ensuring proper maintenance is completed with high quality and low cost, to how, we can effectively market and place high quality tenants with low vacancy time. There's so much more that we could discuss, and Scott and I could talk about this stuff for hours. But for the sake of time, I just want you guys, if you do have any questions or anything that you would like a little bit more information on, please do use that chat box. I'm happy to review those and reach out to you later this week to connect. And I am going to pass it back to Scott, who's going to discuss qualities to look for when hiring a property manager.
Thank you, Emily. That was fantastic. I think you just covered so many topics in a short amount of time. I imagine that there's a lot of folks that probably want to rewind and watch some of that again because you just hit on so many things. It's funny, you and I do talk about property management for hours every day. It's just usually in the form of a phone call, but we're pretty used to talking about property management for hours and hours. So
Exactly.
glad that, obviously our goal here is within an hour to just really provide you guys with as much insight as possible. Of course, we want the opportunity to speak to you further, connect you with different members of our team, and then have the opportunity to evaluate maybe properties that you currently own if you're looking for professional property management within any of our geographic markets, or to have conversations about, what it looks like to build a portfolio of properties with Marshall Reddick. So coming down to about the last 10 minutes or so, this is a slide that we've shared many times in different presentations, and this is just another kind of matrix that we feel, is important to have each one of these components in a professional property manager. A lot of times, we might be notified about a property manager, maybe from word of mouth, maybe from online searching, maybe from marketing. But we always recommend, looking into each one of these areas to find out, if you're working with the right property manager. So starting at the very top and then going clockwise. In today's day and age, software is extremely important. Whether you're a property management company that manages 100 properties or 2,000 properties or 5,000 properties, it's extremely important to have incredible checks and balances and software in place. You can get a lot of an understanding of a company's, how they value technology just simply by going on their website. Do you have the ability to log into an owner portal on their website? Does their owner portal have all of the documentation that goes along with each property? Lease agreements, move-in inspections, annual inspections, estimates and invoices for repairs, HOA correspondence. Are you being provided all of these documents? So Marshall Reddick heavily utilizes our software with our tenants and owners to provide them with all the transparency necessary, but also to provide them with accurate data. With the thousands of properties that we manage, obviously, each one is a little bit different. So we have a full detailed file on every property. If we were to show you guys, it's extremely extensive. Every single maintenance is tracked through our software. We require all of our renters to post all of their maintenance on their portal, obviously outside of fire or flood related emergencies. But even then, we utilize the portal to track everything from low urgency to high urgency. But looking at a property manager's website, how they utilize technology will give you a better understanding on how organized they are and how detailed they are in the properties that they manage. Now, going clockwise, is there a maintenance conflict of interest? I think Emily did a really, really good job explaining how many property managers kind of hide or mask their fees to look attractive and then really make it up on the back end. So right off the bat, we recommend working with a property manager like Marshall Reddick that does not make any money from maintenance and repairs. Cost versus service, the adage is you get what you pay for in property management. I would ask, in talking to property managers, I would use the word how a lot more often than the word what. So some individuals that I can tell don't really have a lot of experience or any experience owning investment properties will ask, what is your fee for this? What is your fee for that? What is your fee for that? Without asking a single question on how do you advertise? How do you lease? How do you show properties? How do you screen renters? How do you handle property management? I think the word, or how do you handle maintenance and repairs? How do you handle lease extensions? Just on and on and on. I would start using the word how a lot more often than the word what to give you a better idea of what you're actually getting for the cost. I want to add something to this. Any property manager you currently work with, property manager you're interviewing, whether that's Marshall Reddick or anyone else, it's very important to understand how they generate revenue. Emily touched on a really good point that sometimes a property manager that might look like they have an unusually low management fee either has additional nickel and dime fees that might be buried in their property management agreement, or even worse, they require you to have to use their contractors. They won't let you choose an outside contractor. And there's some property managers that are what I like to call married to their contractors. So Marshall Reddick isn't married, in a figurative sense. We're not married to any contractors or handymen. We have a stable of licensed contractors and handyman in each category in each geographic market. Obviously, we cover very, very large territories. So in Southern California, in West LA, we have different vendors than East LA. In Orange County, we have different vendors than in Los Angeles. In Austin, Texas, we have different vendors than San Antonio, Texas. So within each area, whether that's plumbers or HVAC technicians or roofers or window companies or house cleaners or plumbers or electricians and so on and so forth. We have several professionals in each category. That's because we usually like to get multiple bids for a lot of items. Anything that's more than just a few $100s we'll typically get multiple bids for. So anyways, look at the service and the quality that you're getting for the cost. Now, right in the middle at the bottom, responsiveness. That's very telling. Emily again mentioned that, if you're having trouble getting a hold of the property manager, or if they're not very responsive, then the renters, the current renters and the prospective renters are probably having the same issue. So responsiveness and turnaround times and communication is absolutely everything in property management. We pride ourselves on a 24-hour turnaround time or less, depending on the significance. And, we monitor all of our email and phone call activity in our software. It's again, one of the uses of our software. Responsiveness is extremely important to us. Online reviews, that's really how, we in many ways, that's how we generate more landlords. So, it's very important to us that we treat not just our landlords, but our tenants professionally, that we have a very professional relationship with our renters. Not every renter might like everything we tell them. That's the nature of property management, and it is what it is. Sometimes we have to tell renters things they don't want to hear. That is just how property management goes. Whether that renter decides to go online and tell their story, it's perfectly fine. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of positive reviews on Yelp and Google and Better Business Bureau and Zillow. And if a tenant is upset about something, we're going to do everything possible to correct it within the confines of our management agreement. But again, they're not always going to get, everything they want. And that's one of the reasons why landlords hire a property manager. Lastly, what does that cancellation policy look like? If you go years and years with a property manager, will they still charge you fees if their service declines over time? For Marshall Reddick, we have a 12-month management agreement. You can cancel any time after the 12 months with a 30-day notice. We are only interested in working with landlords that want to work with us. That is how we're growing so significantly as a company. And so, why I'm mentioning this is that I've reviewed many property management agreements that landlords are currently under that are looking to cancel and transfer to Marshall Reddick. I've looked at hundreds and hundreds of management contracts from other companies. And I've seen some very egregious, very difficult contracts that really are one-sided for the property manager and not so much the landlord. Again, we have a pretty open policy. And, if an owner does sell their property within the first 12 months of us managing it, of course, we're not going to charge a cancellation fee. No fees after the first 12 months. And, we're humans and we acknowledge that we're not perfect. If we ever made a mistake in that first 12 months and the owner's unhappy, we'll let them out, without charging a cancellation fee. But, it's important for us too, because we invest a lot of our time and energy and resources into properties that we onboard. We want to make sure that the landlord has the same intentions that we do. So that's the reason for our 12-month policy. But some property managers will charge you fees years and years later. And that's something to be careful for. We have a tremendous amount of property management education on our website. This is 1 hour of content that we're able to give you guys. We have a lot more on our website. So if you go to marshreddick.com/property management, there's a long list of other videos, articles, tutorials on different topics related to property management. So if you want to continue brushing up on, Marshall Reddick's authored articles or videos, we have many more on our website. We love sharing our reviews. This is really where our hard work pays off. And, many of us are working 12 hours or more in a given day, sometimes 6 days or maybe even 7 days a week. Property management's around the clock. So we work really hard and we're adding a lot of properties on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. We do everything possible, to be the best property manager out there. But at the end of the day, the reviews speak for themselves. We have 4 on here because the one on the left is for our Southern California, Orange County office. Then second from the left, that's our Google business page in Clarksville, Tennessee. Going further to the right, that's our Google business page in San Antonio, Texas. And then finally, our Google business page in Cape Coral. You can't please everybody in property management, but you can certainly do your absolute best to preserve the property, lower the liability, decrease maintenance and vacancy, choose the best tenants possible. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, we work hard for these reviews and we're very proud of them. So wanted to definitely share those with you guys. If you'd like to see our simple fee sheet, you know, it is pretty simple. Our management agreements are not very long. I've looked at some that are 20 pages or more. I know, you know, some of our property management agreements, they're different in each market, but, you know, depending on the area, these are pretty small contracts. You can see our pricing for property management and leasing fees on our website. You can use the direct link, marshallreddick.com/management, or you can go to marshallreddick.com, hover your cursor over services, and then click on property management. And then when you scroll down to the management fees for each market, you can click on those cities at the very bottom there to see our pricing. And we know that we're extremely competitive in each one of our markets. If you have properties that Marshall Reddick is not currently managing and you're interested in having us evaluate it, we'd be happy to hold a complimentary consultation call, which hopefully we would further into one of our staff members actually visiting the property if it is vacant or soon to be vacant. But in the meantime, you can fill out this quick, easy form on our website, put your property address. One of our team members will reach out to you. That might be myself or Emily. Reaching out to you directly to discuss your properties. The only caveat is that it has to be within our geographic markets that we listed on our slideshow earlier in the presentation. Emily and I want to thank you guys so very much for joining us. I did want to, just for a couple more minutes, end with a couple notes. We actually have had quite a bit of questions coming in. Because we don't have time to go through all of them, I've just picked one out. It happens to be a very, very common question that we get. And the question I'm reading is, any recommendation if it is helpful to have a home warranty for houses managed by professional property management? This is a very common question we get. So there's a short answer and there's a long answer. The short answer is not helpful whatsoever. And here's the long answer. Home warranties are really designed for primary residence properties. Now, if you live in a property, maybe you recently bought a home, it's very common that the seller would offer to pay for a one-year home warranty for a property you're buying. If you're going to occupy that property, take it, right? If you're buying an investment property, home warranties can oftentimes be a lot more of a problem than a solution. And, you know, this is a topic that we could probably get into a 20-minute answer on. But the long and short of it is that home warranties make their money, unfortunately, a lot of times by choosing some very, very, very low quality contractors. Not in every case, but what we've noticed is, you know, the home warranty decides the vendor. So right away, that control is stripped right out of our hands. We can no longer use our vendors that we have years of experience and trust with. And we have to go with the home warranties vendor. You know, this is a very, very large company that probably gets a significant amount of maintenance requests through their home warranties. Sometimes we've waited 1-2 weeks or even longer than 2 weeks for a vendor from a home warranty to go out to a property. You can imagine if you're in Texas from, let's say what, April to October, now, right, in 100-degree heat, day after day after day. Same goes for Florida. Same even goes for a lot of parts of Tennessee and California. This is a liability. You know, this is a serious liability. If our renters have health problems or young children, or even if they are healthy and they have to go 1 or 2 weeks or longer without air conditioning, that puts you and us in jeopardy. Really, I could go on and on and on. Emily, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that that I kind of didn't cover already.
Yeah, no, I think you pretty much nailed it on the head. You know, it's it just comes down to a matter of we have to take care of the tenants as well. And, you know, as Scott mentioned, home warranty companies don't work with the best vendors. They're in it to do patch jobs. Not most of the major issues aren't actually covered by home warranties, so you really have to read the fine print. So it's a lot of hoops to jump through just to have to turn around and possibly send back a private vendor who would have been less expensive anyways. So there's a lot to consider. And as Scott said, you know, we could talk about this a lot more. It's just been our experience that the vast majority of home warranty companies are not efficient. So we would always highly discourage against that for rental properties.
Yep. And, you know, there's so many more questions, but we hope to have, you know, one-on-one conversations with you guys. To get in contact with us again, I'll just leave this here. Emily or myself or one of our staff members will reach out to you after submitting this request. Within about 24 hours, we'll set up a call, just talk to you further about your properties. What I really want to end with is this statement, that I also think that one of the key differences between a good property manager and a bad property manager is that a good property manager has their entire business operations structured to be a proactive property manager, and a bad property manager is reactive in every way, shape, and form. We've gone through a lot of instances and examples on how Marshall Reddick is very proactive in their approach. One example was during vacancy. We proactively update our landlords on a minimum weekly basis with the number of calls, how many showings we've had, the feedback that we have. We gave you know, dozens of other examples on how we're proactive in property management. Unfortunately, we're kind of the exception. And in my own experience in 16 years of owning rental properties and talking to so many other owners that have worked with other property managers, I think it's a lot more common that a property manager is very reactive. And I think that's just kind of the nature of it. So make sure you're working with a proactive property manager like Marshall Reddick, who will reach out to you before you have to reach out to them, and a property manager that you can really build a long-lasting relationship with, you know, that's really built on the foundation of trust and transparency. So thank you guys, everybody, for joining us. Thank you all for staying on till the end. Thank you, Emily. You did a fantastic job covering so many good points on how we do our property management. So we look forward to talking to each one of you more, and want to thank you guys so much for joining us on this presentation.
Thank you all.
Great night. Thank you. Bye.